The anime starts with a mysterious assassin close to finishing his mission. But before he can complete it, he suddenly notices that someone else is watching him. That person turns out to be another assassin, a young boy named Akira Ododa, who is the main character of the story. The hooded assassin is surprised, realizing that Akira is highly skilled since he wasn't able to detect him at all. This frustrates him as he doesn't want to share the same contract with anyone else. Because of that, he immediately attacks Akira. However, Akira easily handles the situation thanks to his superior abilities. In just a short exchange, he lands a decisive strike and knocks the man to the ground, completely defeating him. After dealing with the assassin, Akira proceeds to eliminate the original target of the mission. The story then shifts to the past, revealing that Akira used to be an ordinary high school student. At that time, he was quietly reading a novel when a boy named Rintaro approached him and tried to talk. However, Akira is very antisocial, to the point that most people barely even notice him. Right then, Akira senses that something unusual is happening. A summoning circle suddenly appears above them, and moments later, the entire class is transported to another world. When they arrive, the students see the people around them and assume it's just some kind of cosplay event. But their chatter is quickly stopped, as they are told to be silent because the king has something important to say. The king, named Edmund, greets them and welcomes them to a world called Morrigan. He explains that his kingdom Redis is the largest nation on the continent and has the highest human population. He then reveals that they were summoned because demons are beginning to invade their land. After that, an elderly man named Chamberlain steps forward and says that it's time to determine who among them is the hero. Since only one person can hold that title, he instructs each student to place their hand on a crystal and speak certain words. One by one, the students follow the instructions, and in front of them, their class and level begin to appear. After a while, Chamberlain says they can recite the words without touching the sphere, and they will still be able to see their statistics and profession. Akira's profession turns out to be an assassin. However, he is interrupted when a boy named Tetsukasa receives the role of hero. Still, Akira thinks he might be in trouble because after comparing his stats with the heroes, he is far inferior. He becomes very nervous since he knows that once he reveals his strength, they will doubt him. He also begins to suspect the king and wonders if the Demon King's army really intends to invade them. Because of this, Akira realizes that he has a skill called stealth, which he uses at that moment. This makes him disappear from everyone's presence just as everyone finishes their turn. He heads to the dormitory with the rest of the group, but notices that he is being watched, so he thinks they might be hiding something. However, he is being observed by the commander of the kingdom's knights named Saran, who seems to be the only one able to detect Akira's ability. Later that night, Akira is outside the castle and shows that he has great physical ability. He thinks it is time to start gathering information. Using stealth, he reaches the king and hears that they are planning something involving the students, which makes him think it cannot be anything good. At that moment, he considers that it could be a great opportunity to eliminate the king right there. However, he decides to leave the place, and the next day the students are in the grand dining hall of the kingdom. Akira wonders if he should stop using stealth to tell his classmates about the situation. Then Tetsukasa gives a speech to everyone, asking for their help to defeat the Demon King. After a few hours, Saran formally introduces himself to the new companions of the hero. He is accompanied by a fellow fighter named Giles. At that moment, Akira thinks it is best to continue gathering information, so he leaves the place. Saran decides to leave the training in his companion's hands because he wants to follow him. Later, Akira arrives at a fountain and is interrupted when Saran speaks to him. He is shocked to see that Saran can see him. Despite using stealth, Saran explains that he can see him because he has a kind of magic eye. He also tells him that he can relax because he will not tell the king anything. They both sit down to talk, and Akira says that he wants to visit the library to get more information about this world. He also mentions that his stealth skill is already at the maximum level, which surprises Saran. Seeing that he has more potential than the others, Saran offers to train him personally. This excites Akira, since he loves novels and now finds himself in a world like that. However, he initially refuses because he wants to return to his own world for the sake of his family. In the end, Saran tells him that while he searches for a way to return, he should train, and after thinking about it, Akira accepts his proposal. After that, Akira asks him what his world is like. Then we see that in the following days, Saran begins training Akira, believing that turning him into a first-class assassin is the best option. After several days, Saran tells his companion how fascinating and interesting Akira is, since he has told him many stories about Japan. Saran also mentions that Akira has stealth at the maximum level, which surprises him because apparently only the first hero who arrived many years ago had that ability at such a level. At that moment, Akira arrives with them, and Giles immediately leaves, while Akira shows them a book that he found in the library. Saran is very surprised, since Akira had hidden a book where a coup d'etat is being planned. He also mentions that the king seems to have lost some of his sanity, as he is only trying to bend the laws of the kingdom. Despite this, the knights still respect him a lot, since he has helped them many times. Later, Akira confesses that on the first day he arrived, he had the chance to assassinate the king. However, he thought the best decision was not to do it. Saran agrees with him and thinks that he should become an assassin who does not kill people. Akira tells him that no one has ever paid attention to him in his life, so all the praise from Saran makes him feel a bit strange. Finally, Saran asks for his help to carry out the coup in a practical way, and Akira replies that he really needs to think about it. After several days, the group has a parade as they head to a dungeon to test their strength, since exactly 1 month has passed since they arrived in this world. Akira notices that someone is watching him, so he immediately goes to that place. At that moment, he meets a girl who does not reveal her identity. However, she mentions that this is not the first time the king has summoned heroes like them. After a while, the group fights several monsters inside the dungeon. Saran says that it is time to move forward, so they begin making their way through the place. They try to leave, but after climbing some stairs, they realize there are goblins on the first floor. Akira quickly reminds Princess Maria about a ball she had given them, which would help scare away monsters in case of emergency. However, after using it, the creatures end up turning into a very powerful minotaur-like being. This makes Saran and Giles very nervous, since such creatures do not appear on the first floor. Akira immediately charges at the creature, but after stabbing it with his dagger, the weapon breaks. Tetsukasa is slightly injured, and Akira gives him some words of encouragement. Then Akira and Saran team up and say that they must defeat the monster. Saran quickly charges a powerful ability, which hits the Minotaur. At that moment, Akira prepares to attack the monster using his unique ability. He then uses his shadow skill, landing multiple strikes on it. After struggling for a bit, Akira finally cuts off the monster's head with his shadow ability. However, even though there are no enemies left, he begins to lose control of his power. Saran manages to calm him down, and after a few seconds, he deactivates his ability. A few hours later, Saran thanks him, since thanks to him they were able to return home safely. Saran also mentions that he was surprised to see his shadow ability, since he had never seen it before. However, he warns him that this ability should not be used lightly, as he could lose control. He then gives him a sword called a katana, which was forged by the first hero of this world. Akira, a bit confused, asks why they are not giving it to Tetsukasa, since he is the hero. However, Saran tells him that Tetsukasa already carries a sacred sword, and also that he himself took the katana from the royal vault. Akira accepts it and happily says that he would like to meet the first hero. They also talk about how Tetsukasa seems to have a curse, and Saran mentions that he believes he knows who cast it. Later that night, Maria is seen reciting some words into her crystal. She says that she will turn the hero into her puppet. At that moment, Akira appears and destroys the crystal with a single slash. The girl tries to act innocent, but Akira tells her that a maiden would not cast curses on others, since only witches would do such things. After exchanging a few words, Akira leaves the place, but even though he destroyed her crystal, it is revealed that she has dozens more. Then Akira takes the broken crystal to Saran, and he tells him that she is likely just a puppet of someone else. Also, since Akira revealed his face to her, Saran advises him to rest outside the palace, as they might come looking for him. He also adds that the girl will probably curse the rest of the group. The next day, Akira wakes up on top of a tree and immediately goes to his companions, who were gathered together. He is shocked to see Saran lying on the ground with a dagger in his chest. The others begin to blame him, thinking that it is his dagger. However, even though Akira tries to explain that his dagger broke during the last fight, they do not believe him and continue accusing him. Tetsukasa intervenes and says that it is too hasty to accuse someone without proof. However, the king appears at that moment and starts calling him a criminal, so Akira uses stealth. Giles approaches him and tells him that it must be the fault of the Night Crows, a group that acts under the king's orders. Also, Just before Akira used stealth, Maria could be seen with a very satisfied expression. Finally, Giles says that Saran had prepared equipment for escape, so he recommends taking it and leaving. After that, Akira takes his things and immediately leaves the kingdom. Later that night, the king orders Maria to send the Night Crows to eliminate him. After a few days, Akira infiltrates the dungeon to level up his assassin class, since Saran had explained several tricks to move without problems in that place. While fighting monsters, the day they talked at the fountain is revealed, and Saran tells him that upon reaching level 100, he will unlock a special ability. Back in the present, Akira arrives at a door where one of the dungeon bosses is. He is badly injured by the monster, but he knows he must defeat it if he wants to return home, so he has no choice but to use his shadow magic, defeating the monster at that very moment. However, he collapses unconscious due to excessive mana use. Suddenly, a voice appears and mentions that he will heal himself using part of his shadow magic. The next day, Tetsukasa tells the group that he will go to defeat the Demon King. The atmosphere becomes a bit intense, but several students decide to go with him. After leaving the kingdom, they mention that they no longer have any curses, since a girl named Yuki says she is a shaman with anti-curses abilities. Likewise, another boy named Kyosuke mentions that he had broken several crystals in his room, and in a parallel scene, Giles thinks that due to his special ability, he can also break curses, so he is glad to know that he fulfilled Saran's promise. As the group walks, Osuke thinks that Akira is actually innocent and regrets not talking to him much in his previous life, since it seems they first met when Akira was working. In a scene change, Akira wakes up in the middle of the dungeon. He checks his stats and realizes that they have increased significantly. He is also surprised to see that his health has almost fully recovered, even though he had several broken ribs. A little later, while walking through the dungeon, he encounters a very strange slime. He cuts it immediately, and from it comes out an extremely beautiful elf. He decides to use a skill called World Eyes, but deactivates it right away because he sees many different scenes within it. At that moment, the girl wakes up, and we learn her name is Amelia. He thinks that after seeing her stats, he realized that she also has World Eyes. Suddenly, the girl leans on him, and during the following days, Akira takes care of her since she seems to be a bit sick. While they talk, the girl reveals that she is part of the nobility. However, he tells her that he already knew this because he had checked her stats. The next day, they decide to team up, and after defeating some goblins, they enter a room. Immediately, they are greeted by a giant dragon. Akira uses stealth while Amelia attacks it with a gravity ability. However, the monster detects Akira's presence and hits him. With no other options left, he uses his shadow ability to strike it and finally finishes it by stabbing his dagger into its head. Amelia is surprised by his attack, and suddenly the dragon begins to emit a bright light. Then the monster they defeated turns into a giant cat. Amelia explains that it was not actually a dragon, since that creature has a transformation ability. Both of them are surprised when the cat starts talking to them and cannot believe that someone as weak as them defeated it. It also reveals that it was created by the Demon King with intelligence superior to other creatures. The cat sounds a bit arrogant, so Akira tells it that it is actually the weak one. It then introduces itself as Yoru. It also says that it was sent to deliver a message from the Demon King, which is that he will be waiting for Akira on his throne, since for some unknown reason he wants to see him. After saying this, Yoru tells him that he can now kill her, since she has completed her mission. However, he refuses because he really likes cats, and also because they could talk with her. Amelia tells him that he must kill her, because if they do not defeat the boss of the room, the door will not open. After thinking for a few seconds, Amelia suggests that they could form a familiar contract, so that she would no longer be the boss. However, to perform that ritual, a great control of magical power is required, and she says that Akira could achieve it. Still, Yoru warns them that if they fail, both of them could die. Despite this warning, he accepts the proposal. He thinks that he will change Yoru's attitude, since she does not care about dying and is a bit arrogant. Finally, after Amelia explains how to perform the ritual, he begins immediately, and a large barrier starts to surround them. Right after that, he connects with Yoru's mind and finds himself in a place where everything is being destroyed. Yoru tells him that he must defeat her there or die. After exchanging several blows, Yoru's claws manage to hit him. However, he tells her that he does not intend to fight her. The cat says that for a long time she has been fighting people who wanted to kill her. However, he tells her that he will take care of her so that she never has to fight anyone again. This causes everything around them to calm down, and she later transforms into a cute little cat. After that, he wakes up and Amelia is happy that their souls were successfully linked. Also, the emblem on Yoru's body changes color. Yoru is also happy that everything went well, so they decide to talk a bit more, even though a summoning magic circle appears to take them to the exit. And another scene, the heroes group arrives at a village where the first hero of this world was forged. After a long discussion, Tetsukasa says that they are clearly running out of money, so they will have to register at the Adventurers Guild and take on quests. He also says that they need to investigate this world, since they do not have much information. Tetsukasa mentions that they might be able to negotiate with the king to return to their world if they defeat the Demon King, since that is their main mission. However, Kyosuke says that they should first reunite with Akira, since his intuition tells him that they should stay there because they will likely meet him soon. Everyone agrees that he is probably the strongest among them, but since they were all classmates since childhood, they know it will be very difficult, since he was very antisocial and did not like talking to anyone. Finally, they all agree that they must find a way to work together with him, so Tetsukasa mentions that they will stay in that village to wait for Akira and level up while he arrives. In a scene change, Amelia tells Akira that she had to escape from the Elven Kingdom because something happened, and while she was escaping, a slime ended up consuming her, and after that she met him. At that moment, Akira suggests that she should return and resolve her conflict with her family, since apparently the problem was with her sister. He also says that he had a sister whom he spoiled a lot, so he tells her that despite everything they will probably reconcile. Yoru asks if he misses his mother and sister, and he replies that he does. However, he begins to release a very large dark aura while explaining that before returning to his world, he must settle some matters, since he is furious with the person who caused Saran's death. Amelia calms him down at that moment, which makes him apologize. They also mention that his name sounds familiar, since Saran is widely known for being a legendary knight. A little later, the group stands in front of a magic circle, and Amelia says that she once heard that blue magic circles can take people wherever they wish, so Akira wonders if it will take them back to his world. However, he thinks that wish cannot be fulfilled yet, so they step into the magic circle and are teleported in front of a giant tree. Amelia is completely shocked since they were transported to their continent. She feels a bit uneasy since she did not want to arrive there yet. Suddenly, the group is attacked by an elf, and Akira quickly decapitates him. Then we meet him as Leanne, who says that he came to investigate a strange light and did not expect to run into the traitor. He tells her that she can no longer call herself a princess, but Akira knocks him out. Amelia thanks him, and he replies that it is already too late because they will be completely surrounded. At that moment, Amelia's sister appears in front of them, and we learn her name is Kilika. She says that Amelia will now pay for all the damage she caused, so Akira thinks that their family conflict is very serious. Then we are shown a memory of the day everything happened. At first, Amelia admired her sister a lot because she was a talented warrior. However, since Camellia was supposed to become the future ruler of the Elven Kingdom, one day her fiancé Leanne refused to be with her. At that moment, Kilika appeared and said that Amelia was responsible. This caused all the elves to turn against her for being a child, and they began to see Kilika as the true ruler of the elves. Back in the present, Amelia apologizes to her sister for returning and says that they will leave immediately. However, Akira tells her to calm down, since he is with her. The situation becomes tense, and because Kilika keeps calling her a criminal, he asks what crimes she committed. Kilika shows her arm and claims that her sister gave her poison while saying it was a potion. However, Amelia denies this. Kilika approaches him and uses a charm ability through her gaze, confidently saying that he now belongs to her. This makes Amelia angry and tells her to deactivate her spells immediately. However, both girls are surprised when he speaks as if nothing happened. Yoru explains that this type of mental ability does not work on people who are higher in level. This makes Kilika angry, as she cannot believe that people like them have higher levels than her. He also tells the elf that he believes Amelia would never do such a thing. Kilika becomes even more furious and orders them to kill him. Just as he is about to use his shadow ability, they are interrupted when two people arrive. At that moment, the girl's father arrives, and we learn his name is Olive. He is very upset, since it seems Kilika used a charm on all the elves to make Amelia look guilty. This is because he was away at the time and she was taking control of the kingdom. Olive immediately orders her to deactivate her ability and tells Akira and Amelia that he will make Kilika reflect on how she treated them. He also thanks him for bringing her back, but says that he must leave immediately, since regardless of the situation, they do not allow other races in the kingdom. This makes Amelia say that she will leave with Akira. However, Olive refuses, since she is the future queen who will rule the kingdom. The situation becomes very tense, so Akira declares that she will make her own decisions. This makes Olive angry, and he challenges him to a duel, where Kalika will be his representative, and if he wins, he can do whatever he wants. As they walk toward the great tree to fight, Amelia explains that she is a Selfa because she was born with different colored eyes and hair. However, Akira, acting confidently, tells her that he likes her just the way she is, making her blush instantly. Then the group arrives at the great tree and prepares to fight. As a final warning, Amelia tells him to be careful, since her sister is the strongest elf swordsman. The battle begins, and he manages to dodge all her attacks. He tells her to surrender, but she responds by launching a whirlwind attack. As expected, he calls it weak, and after dodging all her attacks, he strikes her and suddenly appears behind her. However, she refuses to lose and begins to charge her attack with much more mana, while saying that her sister took everything she had always dreamed of. Then we see a memory from when they were children, and a voice explains that Amelia was a legendary medium who could bring the world to her feet and activate her abilities. Back in the present, Kalika says that since that day, no one in the kingdom pays attention to her. At that moment, Leanne gives a sacred tree branch to Amelia and asks her to save everyone. She uses a skill on the branch, which causes everyone to lose the charm they were under. This makes Kalika even more filled with hatred and charge her ability even more. Seeing that everything could be destroyed, Akira uses his shadow ability, which absorbs her attack. Then the shadow completely surrounds him, greatly increasing his power, and after their final clash, he is the one who emerges victorious. Kalika feels a bit sad, since her sister has taken everything from her. However, Olive approaches her, and after apologizing, tells her that he actually took away one of her memories. Then we see a memory from when she was a child. She used to be very close to Leanne, and one day a mysterious boy gave her a sphere that could be thrown inside a dungeon, which would summon many monsters to help her level up. So one day, while she was alone in a dungeon, she decided to activate it. But everything got out of control, and she ran out of the dungeon. At that moment, Leanne and other elves arrived to help her. However, a goblin ended up killing Leanne, and Amelia had to use her resurrection magic to revive those who died because of her. Because of this, Olive took away those memories so that she would not suffer from the pain. And the reason why everyone ignored or avoided her was to prevent her from remembering what happened. In short, Olive used Akira to make her come to her senses. At that moment, Kalika feels very regretful, since she hated her sister, who was actually the one who saved everyone from the disaster she caused. This makes Amelia tell her that she has always been very considerate toward everyone, and we see both sisters reconcile, and now everyone pays attention to her. Later that night, Akira talks with Olive and tells him that he plans to go to the Beast Continent. Because he won the duel, Amelia can decide whether she wants to go with him or not. A little later, Amelia and Akira talk, and she decides to accompany him on all his adventures. In a scene change, we see the heroes group traveling on a ship, and Giles mentions that since they need to improve their weapons, they are heading to the Beast Continent. All of this happens without knowing that Akira is also going there. The next day, Akira and Amelia say goodbye to all the elves, who tell them they can return whenever they want. Then Olive feels worried since his beloved daughter is leaving with him, but she reassures him by saying that Akira is very strong. Finally, he tells them that he will send escorts to guide them. After a while, they travel in a carriage, and Yoru takes the form of a small, adorable kitten. They begin talking about the Demon King, and Yoru reveals that the Demon King can see and hear through her. However, she says that she will not betray them, and the Demon King will not interfere with their matters either. The group begins to wonder if the Demon King might actually want to be friends with Akira, since Yoru mentions that the technique he used against Kalika may have caught the Demon King's interest, because no one else can use that technique that surrounds him in shadows. She says it could be called a kind of shadow armor. At that moment, Akira senses someone nearby. They look ahead and see some bandits who have kidnapped a girl. The bandits approach them and after threatening them, realize that Princess Amelia is with the group. However, in the blink of an eye, Akira uses stealth and eliminates them instantly. They rescue the girl, and since the bandits mention someone named Lord Graham, one of the elves says he has heard that name before, as he seems to be a noble in the Beast Nation. Finally, Akira tells them to take the bandits back to the Elven Kingdom while he continues with the girls. Later, they arrive at a port and Akira says that he wants new weapons and to level up once they reach the Beast Kingdom. Yoru mentions that it is a journey of several days, so they should rest as much as they can. A few hours later, Amelia tells him that she is excited to travel by ship since it is her first time. However, because he is reading some books that Olive gave him, he does not pay much attention to her. After several days, they finally arrive at the port of located on the Beast continent. Upon arrival, they encounter some troublemakers, but Akira immediately blinds them using a shadow ability. As they walk through the streets, people keep staring at them because in their culture they fear black cats like Yoru. After several hours, they finish dinner and arrive at their hostel. They notice there are 2 beds, and Amelia hints that 1 bed would have been enough. This makes Yoru say that she will leave them alone and tells Akira not to reject Amelia's hints. Then Amelia takes a shower, and when she comes out, she is wearing very provocative clothes. However, she realizes that Akira has fallen asleep, so she takes the opportunity to lie down next to him. The next day, Yoru returns and sees both of them together in bed. She teases Akira, saying she is glad to know they had a good night together. However, she tells them to get ready because they will soon have visitors. Shortly after, a beast man arrives and introduces himself as Crow, an old friend of Yoru and currently the best blacksmith on the Beast continent. He came at Yoru's request and immediately asks Akira to show him his sword. After examining it, he realizes it is quite worn out. Akira makes several requests, and after writing them down, Crow says he will take the sword while Akira gathers the materials listed. Akira does not know how he will get the money and materials, but at that moment Yoru gives him an idea. They can go to the dungeon, kill monsters, keep what they need, and sell the rest. Amelia tells Akira that she needs to step out for a while because she has something to discuss with Crow, so he agrees and asks Yoru to accompany him. Later, she goes to Crow's workshop and after talking about the ancient hero, asks him to train her. However, Crow refuses because he no longer accepts disciples. She asks if he ever had disciples, and he replies that none of them met his expectations. Amelia begs him and says she will not give up or abandon her training. Crow complains to Yoru, saying that he never agreed to train anyone and that he only came to forge weapons. However, Yoru replies that she is not under his control, so it is her decision if she wants to train Amelia. On the other hand, Crow mentions that Yoru is known as the Nightmare of Adoria. This is because about 100 years ago, the Demon King sent Yoru to spread terror in the nation of Adoria as retaliation for trying to take demon territory, and she lost control and ended up destroying almost the entire nation. Since then, all beastmen have called her by that name. However, because Yoru had left her telepathy ability active, Akira was listening to the entire conversation. Back with Yoru, she tells Crow that something like that will hardly happen again, since now that she is with her new master, it will not happen anymore. Crow realizes that it seems Yoru has been reborn after forming a contract with him. However, he says he holds no grudge, since despite the destruction, life goes on. Then we are shown a memory of both of them, where Crow was bringing flowers to a loved one he lost because of the destruction of Adoria. At that moment, Yoru was with him and told him that if he felt pain, he could eliminate her immediately. However, Crow said that he already knew Yoru was just a tool of the Demon King. He also mentions that he lost his sister, but it was not Yoru's fault, since she helped many people after the destruction she caused. Instead, a noble ended up killing his sister, which made him hate the man known as Lord Grand Cluster. Back in the present, Amelia tells him that he used his sister as an excuse to avoid fighting. Crow thinks she does not understand him, but she confesses that she actually does, since she did the same thing with Kilika. This makes him feel a bit bad, and he asks to end the conversation for the day. In a scene change, Akira is preparing to enter the dungeon of the city. However, suddenly many monsters and dragons begin to come out of the place. Amelia and Yoru quickly arrive at the city, and together they save the people and hold back the attack for a while. At that moment, a demon named Orun appears in front of Amelia. He says that he was sent by the Demon King and was ordered to leave Amelia alive. Since she possesses a very rare magic, he plays a flute, and she becomes surrounded by a strange magic. Yoru tells Akira that all of this was caused by the Demon King, so he tells her to step back and immediately activates his shadow magic. He uses it to absorb all the monsters in the area, and after doing so, he collapses unconscious. Then Yoru, who was watching from afar, is amazed by his great power and quickly approaches him. However, She is even more shocked when a voice says that his shadow magic is healing him at that very moment. In a scene change, Akira wakes up in Crow's house, and Yoru tells him that he was unconscious for a day and a half after using his attack. She also says that his shadow magic activated on its own and transferred magical power while he was unconscious, which makes her say that such magic is not normal. Then he gets up and tells Crow that he is going to rescue Amelia. However, Crow tells him to stop, since more than a day has passed and she might already be in the demon continent. He also tells him that his weapons are ready, and he is amazed when he sees them. Crow also gives him a ring from an ancient hero and explains that it will guide him to the person he wants to find. He activates the ring at that moment, and they tell him that the dungeon is in that direction. Without thinking twice, Akira and Yoru head toward that place. In another scene, Amelia is in the dungeon with Orun. He mentions that he used a magic that controls beasts on her. However, he did it to experiment and understand demon magic that could influence them. Still, he only discovered that his power can disable people. Orun also says that as a third-rank demon, they are waiting for their leader so they can leave using teleportation. He also mentions that he will not harm her since he has direct orders from the Demon King. In a parallel scene, Akira and Yoru are very close to the entrance. At that moment, the girl who spoke with him the other day appears, and we learn her name is Amelia, the first princess of the Beastman nation Urug. She asks them to take her along so she can help Princess Amelia. However, he grabs her and asks how she knows Amelia is there. She immediately explains that she has a sense of smell ability. He calms down after hearing from Yoru that she is telling the truth, since it is common for beastmen to have such an ability. She says that she knew all of this would happen, but she had no proof to say it. Akira uses his World Eye ability to analyze her immediately and discovers that she has a skill called Divine Barrier. After explaining how it works, she finally tells them that the Demon King is after Amelia's resurrection magic, so both of them get on Yoru and quickly head toward the place. Meanwhile, Orun mocks Amelia since he knows she cannot use her resurrection magic for several days because she already used it. He plans to kill Akira when he arrives. Back with Akira, Amelia tells them that a black slime once arrived at her village and absorbed everyone, including her own family, so he wonders if it could be the same slime that tried to devour Amelia. She also explains that she became a princess because she was adopted by a family who saw her great combat ability. Amelia also explains that recently many people were sacrificed to perform the hero summoning. The reason she was in Retis was to see everything that happened with her own eyes. Akira confesses that he was also brought by that summoning, but she believes that the only ones responsible for the sacrifices were the king and the princess. When he says that everything about the conflict with the demons seems like a lie, she replies that it is true, since everyone sees the demon continent as pure evil, even though they have not interfered with other races for more than 100 years. After saying this, the group finally arrives at the dungeon entrance. They realize that they must go down many stairs, but they will have to defeat the monsters on each floor first. Since they do not have much time, Yoru says she will transform into a Cerberus, but warns that she could lose control and attack them. Then we see them riding on Yoru as she rushes toward Amelia at full speed. To keep her from losing control, Akira asks why people hate demons. She continues moving while explaining that the first Demon King did attack other races, and since then all races have kept a negative image of demons, creating the idea that anyone who kills the Demon King will be a hero. After a long battle defeating all the creatures in the dungeon, they finally reach Amelia. Orun is surprised that they arrived so quickly, and thinks it was thanks to the Demon King's right hand, clearly referring to Yoru. At that moment, Amelia uses her protective barrier on Amelia. Finally, Akira tells Orun that he will not let him take her anywhere. Despite the threat, Orun remains confident and says he is not intimidated. Yoru mentions that the Demon King's order was to take Akira to the castle, but Orun says that plans may have changed since now he wants Amelia and does not care about Akira. Without hesitation, Akira tries to launch a surprise attack, but Orun blocks it easily. He blocks all of Akira's attacks and even manages to cut him several times. This makes him angry, and he activates his shadow magic, causing several shadow dogs to emerge from his spilled blood. Orun becomes nervous as the dogs begin attacking him. Taking advantage of the moment, Akira lands a hit on him. Feeling cornered, Orun plays his flute, and several giant monsters appear. They charge a powerful attack, but Amelia manages to summon a protective shield in time, since Akira could not move at that moment. This gives him enough time to recover and defeat the demons with a single blow. Amelia then approaches him, as she can now move because Oren is weakened. He begins to hesitate about whether he really wants to kill the demon, since he seems quite human. At that moment, a portal opens and a second-rank demon named Myro appears. He greets him, but Akira is still unsure whether he should finish off Oren. Then Yoru speaks to Akira telepathically and tells him that he should not face that demon head-on. After that, Myro pushes his companion away and manages to break the barrier that Elia had created. He then activates a skill that hits Amelia in the chest. This makes Akira rush toward them and look at him with a very killing intent. Yoru tells him to control himself, since she knows that if his anger takes over, he could destroy everything. So she thinks the best option is to escape with the girl. However, as expected, Myro casts several spells that seal all the exits. Suddenly, he tells Akira that he was once human and used to live in Japan, but now he is a demon. This leaves Akira confused, wondering how a human became a demon. Finally, Myro says he will finish him and immediately begins attacking him. He casts multiple spells, but Akira absorbs them using shadow magic. Myro is surprised by how unmatched his magic is. However, since he does not have much time, he says he will end the fight quickly. At that moment, they are interrupted when Yoru says that thanks to the time she gained, she was able to recover. She then asks Akira to break their familiar contract so they can defeat the demon, but he refuses without hesitation, trusting that they can win together. Then Yoru transforms into Saran's appearance, since it is more effective for fighting him. The battle continues with destructive spells, and it becomes clear that they are on the same level as the demon. They begin to fight as a team, and Akira thinks that if Saran were alive, they would be fighting just like this. Just when he manages to slash Myro's back, Amelia, who is still being controlled, suddenly pierces his body with her hand. He falls to the ground immediately, and while the group is shocked, Myro explains that it was the puppet spell he used on her. Akira begins to regret everything, as he does not want to die but still has his revenge to fulfill. Just as he is about to fade due to his critical condition, his shadow healing magic restores him instantly. Myro tries to attack again, but the magic deflects his strike. Akira begins to float as a voice tells him that combat mode has been activated and Myro has been designated as the target with the role of demonic artisan. Then Myro rushes toward him, but Akira strikes him and binds him with his shadows. The shadow voice tells Myro to surrender, but he believes that a human cannot defeat a demon. Seeing that he cannot overcome Akira, he launches an attack toward Amelia. Just as Akira moves to take the hit, the attack disappears instantly. At that moment, Crow arrives and says that he was the one who nullified the spell, revealing that he has the ability to cancel other spells. This leaves Myro cornered, and he says that he will retreat for now. Crow, confident, tells him that he will allow him to leave, since he could also cancel his teleportation spell if he wanted. After saying this, Myro takes Oren with him and leaves. Finally, after saying a few words to Crow, Akira collapses unconscious. In a scene change, he is once again in Crow's house. Both girls tell him that he had been unconscious for at least 3 days. At that moment, Crow enters and says that he took Elia to the royal palace. He also surprises him by saying that the heroes group has arrived. Akira is happy to see them, and Giles tells Crow that he is an old friend of his. After a long conversation, the group apologizes to him for not being able to do anything while they were cursed. Later, Kyosuke asks Akira because they had been looking for him to invite him to join their group. They start arguing with Yoru over who gets to keep him, but he calms them down and asks what they plan to do now. They say they want to defeat the Demon King, but Yoru mocks them. Yuki gets angry since Yoru had kicked them out the previous day. She says they want to defeat the Demon King as a great achievement and convince the king to send them back to their world. However, Akira tells them that negotiating with the king is very difficult now, since he is practically cursing people. He also thinks about telling them about the sacrifices used to summon them, but decides that it might be a bad idea. Then the group talks about how they could return, and he mentions that maybe he could use teleportation abilities. While they continue talking, Amelia feels very upset and decides to leave. Seeing this, Akira follows her. The group stays behind talking about him, saying that he is very direct with them, since he mentioned that even if he joins them, he cannot guarantee that he will be able to protect them. Later, he meets Amelia, who feels very guilty about everything she has done. She also says that she knows she will miss him when he eventually returns to his world. At that moment, he takes his sword and tells her that in his world, people exchange rings when they love each other. Using his sword, they both make a small cut as a symbol of love, and finally confess their feelings to each other like a pair of lovers. She tells him not to forget her when he returns, and then they kiss, deeply in love. Meanwhile, a boy named Tomoya tells the others that through the Adventurers Guild, he heard about a festival in a nearby city. It is a beauty festival, but for some strange reason, the winners end up disappearing. They comment that it might be a way to capture the winners. The next day, the group heads to the city of Mali, where the festival is held. Upon arriving, Amelia is very happy and wants to participate, since she believes the winners will receive a lot of delicious food. Then the group goes to the registration area, and Akira sees a girl arguing with the receptionist. At that moment, they meet a demon named Lettuce in Isle, but she is called Lottie. She tells him that she is being discriminated against for belonging to that race. She grabs his shoulder, but Amelia, acting like a jealous girlfriend, steps in and separates them, warning him not to flirt with other girls. As they continue arguing, he interrupts and asks them to let her register, saying that if she causes any trouble, he will take responsibility. The receptionist has no choice but to accept. It is also revealed that Yoru and Lottie know each other, as they greet each other like old friends. Lottie suggests going for a walk, and Amelia agrees without hesitation. Later, while Akira is resting, Lottie asks people around for their votes. It is also shown that he now has many admirers because of the monsters he defeated. Crow, who is with him, tells the people that they witnessed his feat and now call him the Shadow Assassin. He also gives him a pendant classified as yellow rank, which will allow him to take missions at the guild. However, he proudly thinks that Amelia is superior to him since she has a silver pendant, of which there are only 4 in the world. While the girls go to eat, Crow and Akira stay behind talking. Crow mentions that the other day the demons found Amelia because a noble named Gran had sold them information. He also reveals that Elia's staff was created by him, and because a crystal connected to it vibrated when she saved him from the demons, he was able to notice it. He did all of this so that Akira would owe him a favor, and now he asks him to do a job, although it is not revealed what it is yet. He also says that he will accompany them and that Akira will have time to give him an answer soon. A little later, the contest begins, and the first participant, Yuki, amazes everyone with her beauty. After another contestant named Zori, Amelia finally takes the stage, and Akira is completely captivated by how beautiful she looks. The last participant is Lottie, who makes an outstanding entrance. After some time, the results end in a tie, and the winners are Amelia and Lottie. Later, the group gathers and talks with the winners. After chatting for a while, Yoru becomes nervous and confesses to Lottie that she is the daughter of the Demon King. Leaving everyone shocked, in a parallel scene we meet Grand Cluster, says that he will capture and hand over Princess Amelia. Meanwhile, Giles and Crow arrive to inform the group that they already have lodging. Later that night, the group discusses that they will go the next day to claim the prize, since it was not ready earlier. Suddenly, the girls go to take a bath, and Crow reminds Akira about the job. This makes Amelia cancel her bath and take him to her room. Once there, she uses a sleep spell on him and then goes out with Crow to ask about the job. He explains that Akira did not finish off Orin when he had the chance, and says that at some point he might have to kill someone to protect her. Finally, he tells her that Akira is not obligated to do something he does not want, and then leaves. The next day, Akira is still asleep while the group goes to claim the prize. Tetsukasa thinks that the kidnapper might act during the prize ceremony. The group also thinks they should keep an eye on Lottie. Later, they arrive at an abandoned place, which seems strange for a prize delivery. Suddenly, they are interrupted when some assassins appear and ask Amelia to come with them to Gran. When she refuses, they try to attack her, but she uses her gravity ability and quickly neutralizes them. She presses that they kidnap the winners to sell their organs. This makes her angry, and she presses them even harder. However, Lottie jumps in and hugs her, telling her that even if they are assassins, they should not kill them. She stands in front of the attackers and says she will not allow them to be killed. Meanwhile, Akira is able to see everything Amelia sees because their connection through magic allows it. Lottie tells Amelia that if she wants to deal with them, she should do it somewhere else where she is not present. Then Akira wakes up and wonders what Amelia would think if she found out about the job Crow mentioned. Later, Giles talks with him, and he asks what kind of relationship he has with Crow. Giles explains that many years ago his mother was Crow's apprentice, and since he did not have a father, Crow basically raised him. He tells Akira that if he wants, he can repay the favor Crow did for him. However, he also mentions that Crow does not have much time left to live. They are interrupted when Yoro arrives and informs him that after investigating, she discovered that one of Gran's servants placed several cameras to monitor the contest winners. This makes Akira reflect and think that he needs to give Crow an answer soon. He also tells Giles that he saw one of those cameras in the castle of Redis. Finally, Giles explains that in some parts of that world there are creatures similar to those from Japan, since the ancient heroes introduced those elements. At that moment, the heroes group arrives. After talking for a while, Akira tells them that he will join their group. But first, they must deal with Gran and make him stop pursuing Amelia. Crow tells them that if that is the case, they must go to Uruk, the capital of the kingdom, and explains that Gran is the guildmaster in that city. Akira says that he will handle it personally, and Crow replies that if he completes the job, he will guide them through the Demon Kingdom, since he knows it very well. Giles thinks that while Akira handles his task, they can advance through the Demon Kingdom. After planning their routes, Crow tells them the best paths, since he knows all the safe places there from his past experience with the group. Akira agrees, and everything is decided. A few hours later, Amelia talks with Crow, and he asks her to stop pressuring Akira. He also tells her again to become his apprentice, since because they are being followed, he does not want Akira to go down a dark path just to protect her. Crow thinks for a moment, and after mentioning that he knows she is the princess who saved her nation at a young age, believes she might not break like his other disciples. She promises she will not, so it is clear that he accepts her. Later, the group prepares to leave and says goodbye to the heroes' group. Before leaving, Giles gives Akira a bag that he had forgotten while escaping from Redis. Several days later, Crow, Amelia, and Akira travel in a carriage on their way to Uruk. Amelia looks exhausted since she has been studying combat principles taught by Crow. He mentions that no one has learned so much in such a short time like her. Then she falls asleep, and they begin talking about her, as Crow says that he has admired her for a long time because of what she accomplished at a young age. He also mentions that because of that admiration, he named Elia that way so she could follow a path similar to the princess. Finally, Crow tells Akira that Amelia possesses the same type of magic as him, the one he used to nullify the demon's spells. It works by analyzing a spell and then invoking the opposite to cancel it, which Akira considers a very terrifying ability. However, because it is difficult to learn, Amelia has been studying another language to use it. In a scene change, Yoru goes to investigate Gran, but she is surprised to find Lottie on a rooftop. Yoru says she is on a secret mission, and Lottie gets excited and says it sounds fun. The next day, the group finally arrives at the city of Uruk. Crow tells them to explore the city while they look for a place to stay. He also mentions that Elia will come and wait at the city fountain. Later, we see that for several hours, Akira and Amelia go on a date, since she loves food and enjoys tasting dishes from every city she visits. They soon arrive at the fountain, and Elia meets them there. She tells them she will give them a tour around the city. So they get on a small boat, and while moving through the water, Akira thinks the place reminds him of the canals of Venice. After showing them around, they head to the castle. Upon arriving at the entrance, they mention that Amelia is now Crow's apprentice. Elia is completely shocked when she hears that Crow is teaching her the inversion ability. Then they enter the castle and meet the king of the Zhang nation, who turns out to be Elia's adoptive father. He thanks them for saving her and asks for one last favor, which is to assassinate someone in exchange for protection. At first, Akira refuses, but the king explains that the target is Gran, who used to be the prime minister but was demoted to guildmaster and now leads a group of mercenaries. Akira says he is not interested in helping since he believes he can protect himself and that weaker people would not be able to defend him. This angers the captain of the royal guard, who asks the king for permission to duel Akira, as he believes the stories about him are lies. The king accepts, and they move to another place to fight. Akira throws his daggers at Amelia as a joke and says he will fight using hidden weapons. The guard gets angry and attacks him immediately. Although he is fast, he is still too weak compared to Akira, who quickly ends the fight by breaking the guard's axe. He then asks the king if he grants him victory since he completely humiliated the captain. Amelia approaches the king and tells him not to ask such things from Akira again. The captain then tells her that she should not get involved with humans, since elves live much longer than them. These words make her think deeply as she walks back home. Akira says some comforting words to her, making her cry and hug him. Later, they are talking in the hotel where they are staying. Amelia, acting playfully, tells him that the bed is very soft and invites him over, but he ignores her and continues reading a book. Crow, who is there, mentions that he once knew someone very similar to Akira, and that person was Saran. Akira says that he wants revenge because the Night Crows killed him. However, he is shocked to learn that Gran was the one who provided that mercenary unit to the king. Then the details of Crow's request are finally revealed. He wants Akira to kill the person responsible for his sister's death, which is Gran. Amelia tells him she already imagined that kind of request, but Crow says that guiding them to the demon domain is part of the payment. He also reminds Akira of everything he has done for him. With no other choice, Akira accepts the job, since it is also connected to Saran's death, and Gran has been pursuing Amelia. He concludes that the best option is to eliminate him. Shortly after, Crow explains that Gran has created enhanced knights using a special kind of medicine that makes them much stronger. Because of this, they must stop him as soon as possible. After that, Akira goes to rest, and when he returns, Elia arrives and apologizes for what the king and the guard did. Crow mentions that if people find out what happened, it could be bad for the king. As her mentor, he says he will take her to see other parts of the city, and they agree. While walking around, Amelia tells them that she wants to be alone with Akira, so they leave them together. As they walk away, Amelia thinks that Crow and Elia seem to like each other romantically, so she created that situation to give them time alone. She then tells Akira again not to accept Crow's request, since they could find another way to reach the demon continent. In another scene, Yoru and Lottie arrive at a place used by adventurers and merchants. Inside, they notice the first floor is a tavern, and after ordering food, Lottie says she wants to earn money through missions. The man there warns her that missions in Urug are very dangerous. He also reveals that the guildmaster sometimes hires people to transport goods to Redis, and those jobs may be illegal. After leaving, Yoru is impressed by Lottie's way of gathering information. Back with Akira, he becomes determined to defeat Gran, since even before meeting Amelia, he already wanted to kill him. This would also protect Amelia and allow Crow to die in peace. Meanwhile, Crow takes Amelia to a field filled with flowers, called Hell Flowers. He explains that they come from another world and were likely brought by an ancient hero. Amelia tells him that if he loved someone, he would bring them to a place like this. This makes him confess that he stopped seeking happiness long ago, since after his sister's death, he only lives for revenge against Gran. In another scene, the heroes group sets up a camp after defeating a monster they plan to eat. Tetsukasa talks with Kyosuke and mentions that Giles has been very kind to them, possibly fulfilling Saran's will to send them back to their world. He also talks about Akira, saying that he did not like him back in Japan because he always ignored others. Even now, despite being a hero, he knows that people in Redis often praise them falsely, since Akira is much stronger than all of them. Tetsukasa reflects that Akira now shows great confidence compared to before, when he was very antisocial. The next day, Akira talks with Amelia and asks if she is sure about going after Gran. He says yes, but she tells him that he seems a bit hesitant. He asks if she would hate him if he completes the job, and she says she would not. Later, he sees a child wanting something her mother refuses to buy, which reminds him of his childhood. After his father disappeared, they had to move because they could not afford their home. His sister did not want to leave because she felt incomplete without their father, so he had to comfort her. After some days, they moved to a much smaller apartment, but it was enough for the three of them. Since his mother was sick, he had to cook and take care of things, which brought them closer together. Back in the present, he wonders if becoming a complete killer would prevent him from being with his mother again. In another scene, we are taken to Japan, where his mother and sister are worried about him since it has been 30 days since all the students disappeared. In another scene, Lottie is very excited to be in the city of Urug with Yoru. Yoru tells her they need to investigate the guild, but she acts as if she is on vacation. She argues that they should explore the place first before investigating properly, and Yoru seems convinced. They arrive at the tourist area, and Lottie is amazed, even jumping into a fountain, which makes Yoru feel a bit guilty for bringing her there. Since she wants to keep exploring, Yoru reminds her that it is time to investigate. At that moment, she approaches an adventurer and hints that she knows there are jobs that pay very well. However, the man tells her that the high-paying jobs are illegal or involve demons. Since he does not want to give details in public, the man looks at the girl's chest and starts drooling. However, As expected, Lottie refuses since she knows she cannot have relationships with anyone. Suddenly, she is interrupted when she receives a direct order through telepathy from Akira. Both of them become serious and together with the girl head outside the man's house, which is a large mansion located next to the church. Yoru tells her that they need to find proof of all the crimes Gran is committing, so they agree to investigate at night. They then arrive at the Adventurers Guild, but some men tell them it is already closed. The men also say they are there because they handle Gran's dirty work. When one of them tries to act smart with the girl, they quickly subdue him using force and leave. However, once outside, the girl tells Yoru that she discovered a hidden space between the floors of the building. She throws Yoru inside, and she lands in a hidden room, leaving her shocked because they found something very important. A few hours later, they return to Akira, and Yoru gives him a scroll. He thanks the girl for helping with the investigation, and she proudly says she only did what was right, since despite being the daughter of the Demon King, she considers herself a hero of justice. Akira reads the scroll and realizes that it contains almost all of Gran's plans. Even after reading the incriminating documents, he finds it suspicious that they were discovered so easily. Crow thinks that Gran may have hidden them there on purpose so they would find them. In another scene, several men are summoned to Gran's mansion. Gran tells them that they were the only ones who knew the location of the documents, so he begins threatening them to speak. He kills one of them, believing there is a traitor among them, and orders the rest to find the thief. Meanwhile, Crow tells the group that he heard information suggesting that everything is part of Gran's plan to start a war with Redis. Akira does not understand why, so Crow explains that the king of Redis wants to revive his wife. Amelia becomes upset and says she will not lend her magic since her resurrection ability only works if the person died recently. However, Crow mentions another method called exchange, which sacrifices many lives to revive someone even after a long time. Yoru tells Crow that he seems to know a lot about Redis, and he explains that it is because Giles, who used to belong to the Knights, told him everything. This makes Akira very angry, since he realizes that many lives are at stake. Suddenly, Lottie suggests going somewhere to eat and read books. Amelia and Yoru think it is a good idea to clear their minds. Later, the group splits up, with the girls going to eat while Akira goes to look for books. While he is doing that, a thief steals his bag, but Yoru immediately stops him. She tells him to be more careful, but he was too focused on reading. Then they head to the fountain to talk. Yoru asks if something is wrong, since as his familiar, she can help him with anything. After talking for a while, Akira tells her that he might regret it if he cannot return to his world, since he wants to speak with his family. He admits that emotionally, he is weaker than he appears. He also says that taking someone's life is the same as erasing their entire story. He adds that although his role as an assassin is very difficult, he has not killed anyone yet, as his profession demands, so he thinks he may not be suited for it. Yoru gives him encouraging words and says she would not want him to end up like her in the past, since after killing many people, her heart became empty. However, she believes that sometimes it is necessary to do it to survive or protect others, and in those cases, he should not feel too guilty. She also says that if necessary, she would kill on his behalf if he orders it. However, Akira becomes motivated and says that doing that would make him feel like a terrible person. Later, he goes to the Adventurers Guild to try to contact Gran. Then, Amelia and Akira enter and are greeted by a beastman. The man doubts them, but Amelia directly says they want to speak with Gran. The man gets angry and tries to attack her, but Akira immediately steps in to defend her. Just as he is about to strike him, a girl arrives. We learn her name is Karia, and she is in a wheelchair. She recognizes Princess Amelia and the Shadow Assassin, which makes the Beastman apologize immediately. After serving them a drink, the man becomes nervous and says that he did not know who they were. It is also revealed that he is a big fan of Akira after seeing his shadow magic. Karia calls him foolish for challenging someone without knowing his strength. Just as the man is begging Akira to accept him as a disciple, Gran arrives with his guards. After introducing himself, Akira becomes very angry. Gran tells Amelia that he wants to discuss something with her and invites her to his mansion, but Akira stands up in anger. Gran says that a commoner like him should not interrupt. The man named Raoul defends Akira and says he should not be treated that way. Gran confidently says he knows who Akira is and mentions that the summoned ones must defeat the Demon King, but sometimes there are people like him who stray from their role. Then Gran brings up Saran's murder at the castle, which makes Akira even more furious, Gran admits that he equipped the Night Crows with cameras and has a recording of the murder. Akira tells him that his biggest mistake was revealing all of that. Gran tells him not to worry, and his knights draw their swords preparing to attack. However, they suddenly target Karya. Akira immediately tells the others to leave, saying he will handle everything, and then charges at the knights, starting the fight. He tries to use stealth, but they can still see him. Gran reveals that from the moment he met him, he placed a magical eye on the knights. After exchanging several blows, Akira uses one of the knights as a shield. However, one of them manages to land a hit and wounds Akira. At that moment, he thinks about using his shadow ability, but he is afraid of losing control near Amelia, so she uses her ability and they manage to escape. Then Lottie arrives and helps them get away, and they leave flying. After that, they regroup with Yoru, and Lottie says that her job ends there, since she does not want him to kill anyone in her presence. Shortly after, he explains everything that happened, and Crow tells him that his stealth and attacks did not work because of the enhancement magic Gran gave to his knights. He also warns him to stay alert, since Gran will likely come after him. This makes Akira step outside to clear his mind. In another scene, Gran is shown holding two knights trapped inside a magical sphere. He orders another man to find Amelia's location, and nearby, the restrained knights end up killing each other as part of his training. He then states that he wants to capture the princess to sell her and use the money to strengthen the rest of his knights. Back with Akira, he becomes determined to defeat Gran since he mocked Saran's death and tried to kidnap Amelia. He remembers an item Saran gave him, and a hologram appears with a message for him. In the message, Saran tells him to remember his words about being an assassin without killing, since in the end he will return to his family and his world. He also tells him not to let revenge take over his thoughts. These words make him cry, as he cannot understand how Saran remained so calm knowing he would die. He apologizes for being foolish, and says that even so, he will still go through with it. After that, he speaks briefly with Crow, saying he will go immediately to deal with Gran. Amelia, who is still awake, begs him not to do it, but when she realizes he will not change his mind, she begins to cry. He then leaves and meets Yoru outside, telling her that he wants to go alone. She respects his decision and wishes him luck. Soon after, he arrives at the mansion and takes down several knights. Then the story returns to the first scene of the anime, where he meets another assassin with the same mission. After dealing with him, he heads to Gran's room. He raises his sword while Gran is sleeping. What happens next is revealed afterward, as he returns home. He is not happy and admits that even though he decided to kill him, his body was trembling the entire time. In the end, he confesses that he did kill him, but he feels no satisfaction even though he thought revenge for Saran would fill the emptiness inside him. Instead, he is terrified by the thought that he has now truly become an assassin. He also says that all of this could have been avoided if he had killed the king of Retis from the beginning, since Saran would not have died. Amelia begins to cry and tells him it is not his fault. However, he says that the person she knew is gone. She hugs him tightly and tells him that she will stay by his side no matter who he becomes in the future. He thanks her for her words and says that they give him the strength to keep moving forward. Yoru also says that her life belongs to him and that she will always stay by his side. A few hours later, Elia and her father learn about Gran's death, and she is shocked, knowing that he was the only one capable of doing it. In another scene, Kyosuke tells Tetsukasa that his intuition sensed a major change in Akira. Meanwhile, Lottie watches the group from afar, thinking that one day she will settle things with her father. Finally, the group talks with Crow, who must now fulfill his promise to guide them to the demon continent. After preparing, they set off on their journey. Akira reflects that he does not know if his family will accept him when he returns, after everything he has become. However, no matter what happens to him, he promises that he will protect the heroes group so they can return to their world. And with that, the story comes to an end.